Right, welcome to the final panel of the day. Be nice if everybody could sit down maybe, or move outside the area. Sorry about that. Okay, thank you. The final panel of the day is top 5 ways firms were hacked in 2017. I'm going to hand over to Peter, who'll be presenting this one. He's going to introduce himself. Off you go, Peter.
Oh, thank you very much. So weird using a microphone. Right, okay, so last session of the day, I'm kind of competing against beer, so I kind of got a massively shrunken crowd. But yeah, let's have a little bit of fun. So my name's Pete Bowser. I've got a slide about me. It's me. Right, so yeah, I've been doing this for 26 years. That makes me feel really, really, really old. But yeah, cybersecurity, I was doing it before it became a thing. Apparently it's a thing now that everyone finds really cool. So yeah, we're going to go over 5 ways to get hacked. So what we're doing is we're looking at what we saw go on in 2017. So a lot of these things is what we experienced ourselves as a firm, and what we've had our peers tell us about as well. So we're going to look at it from 2 angles. The first one is we're going to look at the 5 common ways in which firms got hacked, and kind of the side effects of that. And then we're going to look at 5 ways in which to prevent it from happening to you. So I kind of tell you the bad, but equally tell you how to make sure it doesn't happen to you in 2018. So the 5 ways in which to get hacked are, in reverse order, as ever. Number 1, DDoS attacks. They've been around for many, many, many years. They're not going away. They're boring as hell. I personally hate them. I wrote a book on it once. That proved a very bad thing to do because it actually improved the evolutionary cycle of the DDoS attack. Bad for me. Passwords. Passwords, there's millions of them out there. I've got a wonderful example. You only have to go to haveibeenpwned.com and put in your email address and see how many places that your password has been leaked out. I know if you put mine in, I think I'm on 11 different data dumps. So, you know, the data's out there. Ransomware, we're seeing a lot of ransomware. There's been a rather large resurgence of it, especially with the increase in value of Bitcoin as well. So ransomware is becoming a really popular way of making some more money for all the evil people out there. And then the top 2 are more, I think the best way to describe it is human error. That's the polite way to put it anyway. So badly configured cloud services, and these really are just people not doing their job properly, and failing to apply patches and keep their systems up to date and have good system hygiene. So if we look at DDoS attack, the distributed denial of service attack. When I worked at Gala, when I worked at Eurobet, way back now, I spent a lot of my days fighting DDoS attacks. And they always used to come around at, just before Grand National was always a good one. You could pretty much guarantee you're going to get one of those. And normally coming up to Christmas. I mean, they've been around since '73. The first ever DOS attack, so a single denial of service attack, was in 1973 against a university mainframe. And that was simply someone had worked out a way of flooding it with very simple tools and prevented people from using it. So we've gone from that back in '73 to what is happening now, where large organizations are experiencing between 3 and 8 attacks every single day. And most of those, they're not even going to notice they're going on. They're going to be lost in the noise of everything else. They get tens of thousands of visitors to their site. So, you know, a few attacks here and there doesn't really matter. But then we've had the Internet of Things. So basically all these other devices that have come onto the internet that have absolutely no protection on them at all. Fridges are good. I've seen a microwave involved in a denial of service attack now, which was enlightening. It was quite cool. Phones, literally anything that is internet connected could be leveraged into a denial of service attack. So they get pulled into giant botnets, giant collections of machines, which then go to your website and say, just pull down one page. It doesn't sound a lot, does it? It's just going to access one page. But when you've got 10 million of those doing it in a second, all of a sudden your website grinds to a halt. And for a lot of affiliates, your website goes down and your livelihood starts seriously suffering. So it's an easy thing to fix, but it's always there. Something that we started seeing it as Bitcoin surged in value, was Bitcoin mining Trojans served out of ad networks. So you'd just be going off on the internet, surfing all your normal pages, and a malicious advert would be served to you. It would start mining Bitcoin in the background using your computer and your CPU power and slowing people's systems down. So while not a direct denial of service attack against you, it is denying your use of your computer to its fullest potential. So that's really starting to affect people. And we're seeing it more and more now, especially with things like Ethereum mining. It's really starting to affect people's machines. So passwords are one of my favouriteest subjects. Now, I'm going to apologise on behalf of the IT industry. We suck. We all told you to go off and create stupid passwords with a special character, uppercase, lowercase, and a number, and it had to be at least 8 characters, and you could never remember them, so you wrote them down. We suck. We have a database of just over 4.8 billion usernames and passwords that we've gleaned off the internet and off Darknet. And the majority of these are really easily broken. If you want a difficult password, if you want a password that's difficult to break, make it long. It doesn't have to be complicated. If you create a password that's 12 characters long, and I get a hash, which is the way a computer system will convert that into an encrypted form, I'll break 12 characters in 6-7 hours. You make it 16 characters, and I'm going to break that in 20 days. You make it 18 characters, and I'm going to give up and go on to the next one because it's just not worth my time doing it. There is a trade-off, though. If I really, really, really want your password and it's valuable enough to me, I can leverage Amazon's web services at around about £10,000 an hour for a 3D graphics processing system to break your password. So, length is good, but it's not going to deter a seriously funded attacker, nation states maybe. One of the really cool things that we found when we were doing a bit of password research was people are making reasonably good passwords, but they're doing it wrong, and they're certainly being stupid. So I've got 2 examples, both taken from a data breach. Both were on exactly the same email address. So we've got manu pound G0316. So the data breach happened in March of 2016, so I'm kind of guessing 03 is the month, 16 is the year. Manu appears to be a constant. It's similar on both of them. Now the interesting thing is, number 3, if I do shift and 3, that gives me a pound symbol. If I look at the one that we took from May of 2017, the month is 5. Shift and 5 is $1. Okay, so I've now guessed how he's doing his special characters. Every month, he goes next one along on the keyboard. There are 12 along the top of your keyboard. So that makes that really easy to guess. Anyone want to hazard a guess at the G and the I? There's got to be some marketing people in here. Colours of the rainbow? So when we mapped it out, went through it, 3rd colour of the rainbow, G. 5th colour of the rainbow, I. Okay, so kind of guessing now that his password for this month is manu, inverted comma, 0021. That should be 717. I'm reasonably confident it is. Not, of course, going to go and try it because that would be naughty. But that's a great example of having a really good password done stupid. It's easy to guess. Now, if he changed that and used 3 different words, so yeah, use manu, so manu and then trade and then share, that then becomes a lot harder. And if he's changing one of those each time, I can't predict what the next iteration of the password's going to be. So that made it really quite simple to break. So moving on to the ransomware. Ransomware, we've dealt with a lot of these, and I cry when we get another ransomware job coming because it's just like, just pay the Bitcoin ransom, well, we'll pay the Bitcoin ransom for you, and hope to God you've got backups. Biggest defense against ransomware is having backups. I'm going to kill my team. They slipped another slide in there. Okay, so with ransomware, basically you're going to pick it up either through phishing attack, so someone's sending you the ransomware, drive-by download, so you go to a website and you click a link, download some software, and inadvertently or hidden within it, Trojan horse style, is a piece of malware that is then getting on your machine. What it's then going to do is going to try and encrypt your machine, encrypt all your files, and then give you a lovely red pop-up screen when you boot your machine saying, please pay this Bitcoin address, this amount of Bitcoin, and we'll send you a decrypt. If you ever do that, get someone from the security industry to check over the file they send you when they send you the decrypt file. On average, we find 3 further pieces of malware in the decrypt file. The first one is always and 100% consistently a keylogger. So the moment you put it in there, it starts logging everything you do, and it will ask you to log in. The second one is a time-restricted piece of malware that is going to re-encrypt your machine again in 6 months' time. And the third one is generally random, and at the moment, the trend is towards installing Bitcoin mining software. Over 2017, we dealt with about 2 of these a week. It started getting very monotonous. The average ransom with the Bitcoin spike was about £9,000. If I look back at 2016, your average ransom was £300. The difference in price was purely the difference in value of Bitcoin. And the attackers are using Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies because allegedly it's not trackable. But as a security industry, we've started tracking these wallets and we start seeing where the money's going. A great example was WannaCrypt / WannaCry and NotPetya, where we were monitoring those Bitcoin wallets, and we're still monitoring them because there's still some funds left in them, and we're able to track where the money mules were going with it. But ransomware is it's very, very popular. One of my favourite ways of getting breached is completely accidental. Badly configured cloud services. So your IT guys need a new storage array. They need a new server. They spin one up on Amazon AWS or Azure or insert cloud provider here. It's nice, it's quick, it's easy. They finish with it in their development cycle, or you no longer need it. What do? Turn it off. It's still there. It's just turned off. So what happens is people come along, they go and book out a new block of storage, and they start interrogating that storage to see what's on it or what was on it prior. And they start finding information. Equally, part of one of my research papers for Microsoft was looking at Microsoft storage blocks and how you can scan across all of the Azure cloud environment and find abandoned storage blocks that still have all the data intact, and you can pull it back. So throughout 2017, we found just over 1.5 million personal records for UK citizens on Tor, and these were data blobs from cloud services. We found 120 gig of financial records and personal data just abandoned in Azure. It was one single blob. Someone had some Azure storage. They no longer needed it, so they just abandoned it. Didn't bother decommissioning it properly. We were able to go through. There was no password protection on it. There was no key protection on it. We were able to get it back and read through it. So that was kind of an epic fail on behalf of the admins there. And something they really need to keep in mind when they're doing these things is, you start provisioning cloud services. Once you've finished, decommission them properly. The number one way that people got hacked in 2017 was patching and failing to patch. Great example, our wonderful National Health Service, still running Windows XP, still running SMB1 services. With the whole WannaCrypt issue, that patch had been out for 60 days, and it had been publicly available for that time. So there was no reason in the world, if people were patching their systems, they would have ever been affected by that. But as we all know, it made mainstream press. Lots of people got hit with it. Even now, there are a lot of systems out there that are still not patched properly, or patched at all. Only this morning I found a Windows XP machine, which was quite surprising. We find it less and less, but Windows XP should not be there. Windows 2003 certainly should not be there. But they are there, and they're not patched. Things like Eternal Blue, that was patched early part of 2017. There's still systems available on the internet which are open to it. If you patch your systems, your chances of being hacked are seriously, seriously reduced. Throughout all of the work that we did in 2017, 93% of the systems that we analysed were inadequately patched. I mean, that ranges from a couple of missing patches to massively not patched. But of those 93% of machines, 65 of them were easily exploited. When I say easily exploited, less than 5 minutes for us to take the machine over. And we're sitting outside of those networks. So, patching is really, really important. Right, so that's all the doom and gloom. How do we fix this stuff? Okay, well, patch everything. Easy. Train staff, use a firewall. There's a wonderful thing called Quad9, and do some regular reviews of your systems. If anyone wants these slides, you can just go and grab them. Quite easy. Okay, right, patching all your stuff. Really easy, enable automatic updates. You might not like it. It might cause your machine to run a little slowly at 2 o'clock in the morning. Schedule your updates when you're not using your machine. Leave it on once a month just to go and run all your updates. Check through all your applications. Yeah, I say in my slide every month, but in reality you're not going to. Do it every quarter. But just check through all your applications to make sure they're all up to date and that you've got everything, you've got all the patches and the updates you need. Some have got really cool functionality added in them. Some are security updates, some are stability. Do not forget your phones or your tablets. Patch them. Then when there's security updates available for them, apply them. If there's operating system updates, leave it a couple of months, then apply it. Let them stabilize first. There's wonderful, for your personal lives, there's a wonderful thing called the Secunia PSI, which is your personal software inspector. It's free. And it will look across your home PC, and it will tell you what needs updating. And it will give you a one-click system to go and update it for you. And it'll update all your software. But yeah, undertake regular reviews. Keep checking all your systems. Make sure they're up to date. Make sure your IT team are doing it. Ask them once a month. Have you patched everything? Are you sure you've patched everything? Make sure they're doing it. It's really, really important. Oh, I'll let the lady take the photo. Okay, right. Train staff to use good passwords. And by that, do not mean 8 characters or longer, uppercase, lowercase, and all that rubbish. Use 3 unrelated words. Put a special character in it, add a number or 2, and change it every 90 days. If you've got a password that is 16 characters or more, you do not need to change it every 30 days. Or 15. There's people out there that make me change them every 15 days. I hate my admin. You can change them every 90 days. The chance of that password being broken in that 90-day period, reasonably low. If you think it's been broken, change it anyway. But passwords are really, really simple. 3 random words. Revenue, financial, Lottoland. There you go, 3 completely random words. Whack in a special character, maybe an exclamation mark between all 3. Couple of numbers, whichever you fancy. Job done, really good password. I was on a Virgin train this morning. Virgin table coffee. It was what was in front of me. Right, use a firewall. On your workstations, just turn on your personal firewall. It's really easy. If you work, as a lot of people do, from remote offices and you're diving into places like Regis or i2 Office, do not rely on them to have a password. I'm obsessed with passwords. Don't rely on them to have a firewall that is working. The chances are it isn't, and it's just letting everything through. So use your personal firewall on your computer, or enable the one that comes with your endpoint protection if you're using one of the big antivirus vendors. For your websites, okay, there are some free web application firewalls out there. Cloudflare used to do a free version of their subscription. I don't know if they still do. If they still do, it's really good. If they don't, go find one that's free. And then if you start getting attacked a lot, get a paid-for subscription, get something slightly better. But if you're using a web application firewall, the chance of your website being compromised is a lot lower. And on the subject of your websites, how many of you actually read the text on your websites every month? I don't. If an attacker compromises your website and they're going to use it to deliver malware, or they're going to use it for something nefarious, they're not going to do this every time, but in the vast majority of cases, they're going to alter something on your website to see how long it takes you to notice. It could be just an extra full stop. They could change a full stop to a comma, but they're doing it to see how much attention you're paying to your website. Now, if you go and change it back and it's within a couple of weeks, they're going to move on to the next person, because there's no point in them investing time into mucking up your website to deliver malware. And with your workstations, turn that antivirus back on. There's a lot of workstations in here with no antivirus on. I was quite surprised. Not. Okay, Quad 9. I spoke about Quad 9. I kind of skipped over a little bit earlier. Quad 9, it's a wonderful service provided for free by the security industry. So Quad 9, if you just Google Quad 9, you'll find the website. It's basically a way of looking up websites that will stop you going to sites that are known to be malicious. It's really handy, it's completely free, and it works really well. So use it. It will stop you getting, it won't stop you completely getting malware on your machines, but it's going to help, and it's going to reduce the threat that you're going to have. So Quad 9 project, really good. Big thumbs up. We love it. Regular reviews. So this is kind of one to ask yourselves about your workstation, equally one to beat up your IT people with. Is everything up to date? We're doing a PCI review for a gaming affiliate at the moment, where they sent me their statement from their IT team and said, yes, everything's fine, firewall's fine, everything's up to date. We ran a vulnerability assessment against it, and we found that they weren't patched, they hadn't been patched in 2 years, there was no firewall, there was no AV, and they were serving malware off their website and had been hacked. It was a very interesting conversation to have with their owner. So ask your IT guys, right, are your systems up to date? If you turned systems off recently, especially in cloud-based systems, have you turned them off and deleted that data, or have you just turned them off and abandoned them? If you've abandoned them, go back to your account, delete that stuff. Have a look at what you're running. Do you need it running? If you don't need it running, turn it off. If it's not on, it can't be broken into. It's quite cool, that. If there's no power going to it, no one's going to be able to take it over. Check your website, make sure it hasn't changed recently, or if it has changed, that you know it was changed for the right reasons. Carry out some vulnerability scans. You can get free vulnerability scans off of many of the security companies out there. And just look and see, have you got any critical risks or high risks? Does everything look the way you want it to look? So if it's full of reds and purples, criticals and highs, do you want that? Probably not. You want it nice. You want medium risk only. Well, you really just want low risk. And of course, keeping in mind GDPR and data protection, all that personal data that you've been collecting, do you really need it? Is it providing you any value? Are you processing it properly? If you don't, get rid of it. Right, there we go. That's not bad. I'm running reasonably on time. Do you have any questions? Yes, sir. Oh, that mic ain't working. Oh, there's another one. Whee. Yes. Okay, so the question is, are there vulnerabilities in PHP 5.5? The answer very easily is yes, there are many. The biggest problem you're going to have with using older programming languages isn't so much the programming language itself, it's the way people have written code and implemented applications within that language itself. Is PHP 5.5 itself directly exploitable? No. You need a coder to have written something that isn't going to function quite the way it should in the first place to be able to actually take advantage of it.
MySQL could allow a hacker easily access MySQL database where I hold, all the member information potentially.
Depends a lot on how you've deployed MySQL. So if your MySQL server is available on the internet and publicly facing, which is bad in the first place, yes, because it's not going to take me long to brute force your password. Couple of days, I'll get there. Equally, if your MySQL server hasn't been set up properly and hasn't been deployed in a safe manner, equally, yes, you're giving me even more ways of trying to get into it. There are a couple of vulnerabilities with PHP 5.5 and MySQL, especially a couple of the more administrative functions of PHP and MySQL that will allow me to take over the MySQL database. But if I've got that far, you've got bigger problems because I'm already on your machine. So if you've got it reasonably well patched and the code is written properly in the first place, you shouldn't have too much to worry about. I would recommend updating PHP. You're going to get performance increases and you're going to get stability increases. Having said that, I pen test applications that are running on PHP 5.5 at the moment and find them, as long as they're written well, they're reasonably secure.
Thank you.
No worries.
Hi, what do you think about password managers like LastPass or 1Password when one master password helps you to log into others' websites and services?
Oh, password managers. I love password managers. They're great. You can have really complex passwords for everything. I use KeePass. I have over 170 different passwords. I have a different password for absolutely everything. I have a stupidly complicated password for KeePass. It's about 35 characters long, and I quite often type it in wrong. You're going to come with a password manager. You're going to be as secure as your weakest link. So if your weakest link is the password for your password manager, make it really good. Avoid password managers that are stored on the internet. If your password manager is on your local machine, on your PC, an attacker's got to compromise your PC first, reasonably difficult, and then attack your password manager. If it's on the internet, they can just attack your password manager. So I would say avoid anything that is internet-based and keep your password manager on your local machine. Have a really good password for it and stop worrying. Any more questions? Brilliant.
Hello. What about plugin like WordFence to protect WordPress applications?
WordFence is awesome. I love WordFence. If you've got a WordPress, website, blog, anything you can bend WordPress to do, and you're not using WordFence, you're missing a trick. WordFence is the best web application firewall for WordPress going. And if you go out and buy a commercial subscription to Cloudflare and you turn on all the web application firewalling for WordPress, all you're doing is mirroring what's in WordFence, which you can get for, $80 a year? Yeah, WordFence, really good. If you've got it deployed in the server, hackers are really, really lazy creatures. It will take them 30 seconds to work out you've got WordFence deployed. And 28 of those seconds will be, who do we go and attack next? They'll just move on. So yeah, if you've got WordFence, you're doing good.
And just another question. What about the speed issue that can be that a website can have with using these plugins and this application? There are or not? Are there?
Okay,
also Cloudflare.
A lot of the caching solutions will help improve the speed of your website. Cloudflare's Ray engine is really good. it must be good. They're charging a lot of money for it. You can get a lot of optimization out of WordPress anyway, and there's a lot of WordPress caching solutions. Equally, you don't need to spend a lot of money to improve the performance of your WordPress. Throw some more memory in it. Use some of the use things like Memset to help increase the speed of your actual server delivering your web application. Rewrite areas of web application that take too long to load. So if you're looking at the performance of your website, start off a stopwatch and see how long it takes each individual page to load. So if I had my attacker hat on and I wanted to stop your website working and you had something like WordFence, I would go to each individual page, I would load each individual page, I'd use each function, and I'd time them, and I'd look for the function that takes longer than everything else, and that's the one I hit over and over and over again to kill your website. So yeah, just go through your website and then recode what is running slow.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
What would you suggest for Joomla websites? Is it RS Firewall good enough?
For Google Apps.
Joomla.
Oh, Joomla. Ooh.
RS Firewall?
It's good. It is good. If I was deploying Joomla, RS Firewall, yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's good. Not really. I think the thing with Joomla is actually inherently more secure than WordPress. So it's had a lot more security lifecycle within it, and there's a lot more testing goes on. I haven't seen a really good bug in Joomla for a year and a half, 18, 19 months. I certainly haven't seen any good SQL injections that actually give me anything to get a foothold into a Joomla site. Drupal, you know, I found a SQL injection in Drupal about 6 months ago. WordPress, pretty much every version. They get fixed really quickly, but yeah. If you're going to run a firewall, RS Firewall is good. Alternatively, any web application firewall is going to help enhance it.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we've just come to the end of the time slot. It was actually quite fun, Peter. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
Excellent.
And I think the audience found it really informative as well, and some great questions and well answered. Thank you, Peter.
My pleasure.